This week, President Muhammadu Buhari directed the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, to resolve the prolonged strike embarked upon by the 4 university-based unions and report back to him in 2 weeks, which is 14 days. He gave the directive after he received briefings from the relevant government ministries, agencies, and departments involving in resolving the face-off with the university unions. 4 weeks, which is 29 days down the line, it appears there is no end in sight, as the latest round of negotiation between ASUU and the federal government ended in a deadlock at about 3 p.m. yesterday. Now, the question is, who will break the deadlock between the federal government and ASUU since the 14th of February? This issue of ASUU since the 14th of February, we have been going back and forth. They've been having meetings upon meetings. Committees have been set. There was a committee, I can't remember the exact name now, before this Nimi Briggs Committee that has been set. And one of the issues ASUU had or complained about was the fact that they come together, they, come up with these meetings, make their recommendations, and the federal government will say, we'll get back to you. And then they go back. And the latest anger I was reading in the papers yesterday was the fact that the federal government was bringing it down to just their salaries. We pay you people, increase your salaries, and you can go back to the classroom. But as we're saying, this is beyond just salaries. We are fighting a fight that will benefit the country entirely. Please, what are your thoughts on this latest meeting, first of all, and the deadlock? No headway.
It's so sad that the meeting ended in a deadlock. When you have a crisis, I remember I did a course on arbitration and conflict resolution, and in the course they mentioned that you look for beneficiaries of a war. When you try ending a crisis and you cannot end the crisis, look at the beneficiaries. If you find who the beneficiaries are, they are the ones you talk to. They might not be directly involved in the war, but you talk to them, you are able to stop the benefits from flowing to them. We have beneficiaries in this crisis. The beneficiaries are the people who own private institutions. Sure. They are benefiting. So the conversation also is the beneficiary, the people that are at the ends of making the decision are not in any way directly impacted by whether it works or it doesn't work. So this decision, we cannot talk to ASUU about it. ASUU has declared these are the challenges we are facing. Any palliative you give us will still continue to make it worse. It's like you have a wound. If we don't deal with it, it will be amputation. And you are saying, let me just bandage it for you. That's where I see, the analogy I see from ASUU's side. We have been bandaging this thing. If we don't deal with this thing now, it's amputation. It will rot, yeah. And the amputation will not affect the leaders that are making the decision. So who are the people that are involved in this conflict? We have our ministers, our negotiators, who have nothing at stake, aside the fact that maybe they will lose the election, and they really know it might not affect the election. Until we Nigerians make our leaders understand the impact on our lives, we are not going to deal with the issue. It is far-reaching, and this is a deeper look that I believe everybody should have. I was listening to radio this morning, and somebody was saying that even ASUU chefs should shift. Why is ASUU grandstanding? Wow. And here is the thing. Being a Nigerian does not mean that you will continue to collect whatever is thrown at you because you have no standard. So we have been managing, and our public universities, I went through public universities. The average politician that we have right now went to public universities, but they dare not allow their children go through the same thing. What did you do to change the situation? It starts from leadership taking responsibility for what has gone wrong and making a decision that whatever it takes, we are going to fix it until you give a deadline. If you think you can finish it in 1 week, you finish it in 1 week. If you give yourself 1 year, you finish it in 1 year. Let the government get a deadline from Nigerian people to fix this issue. It is not just this that is an impeachable offense, insecurity. The Senate and the House of Reps should make an impeachable move on the president if students remain at home. This is 6 months down the line.
6 months down the line.
I wanted to try to not be with ASUU, but it's almost impossible. I think they came to the meeting with a deadlock mindset. That's government, yes. So that's why all the meetings end in deadlock. Because, government is the person who can change things. The person who we have voted to manage our common resources to change things. ASUU is an institution or a representative of, our educational sector asking government improve infrastructure. And every time you go to the meeting, there's a deadlock. There's no, they came to a meeting with a deadlock.
Mindset.
So that there will be no solution. ASUU is clear from 2009 till date, 2009 till date, about what they want. One key outstanding one before UTAS and IPPIS featured was improve our public institutions of learning, grow our institutions. This form of our education, our government, our educational policy makers are not up to date about artificial intelligence, new modern forms of education, new modern areas of knowledge and growth. They are not. And ASUU is screaming, update us, upgrade us, don't leave us as we are. We can't remain stagnant. And the same people will then say, okay, institutions should put an age gap on employment. Of course, you are only advocating private universities. Just as we had the private institution come and water down our public schools in primary and secondary. Every of such meeting, there's a deadlock. The one that paid me most is that the president finally, seemed like he has heard that ASUU has been on how many months straight.
As if he
just like he just heard. He now gave a directive to the Minister of Education. Give me, you have 2 weeks to give me a report on this. After the meeting, when the report came, what did you see? So lip service again.
Now my question is, what will it take the federal government for ASUU to get back to school? What sort of conversations should we be hearing from the federal government that will show us that they are now ready? Or should we just assume that this is how it's going to be?
So I know that whatever happens, ASUU will not be on strike before election.
That's it.
You think they will settle that?
Whatever happens, it's about interest. When they realize that this interest of ASUU is going to conflict with their electioneering process and it might cost them the election, they will settle. Because at that point in time, it will get to them. But I think it's a willing mind. I've said it in several fora. A willing mind will find 1,000 ways. An unwilling mind will find 1,000 excuses. So when you are willing, when you are ready, you will find a solution.